Hi guys, hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. So, my name is Chloe, and today I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the origins of chocolate, which is what I did for this week's food journal assignment. So, let's get into it. So, the first question is, where does chocolate actually originate from? So, chocolate originates from Mesoamerica, which is kind of like modern day, like most of Mexico, and then also the northern tip of Central America. So in Mesoamerica, you can find what I have pictured here on the right, which is a cacao tree with cacao pods growing on the outside of it. So chocolate comes from, if you open up these cacao pods, you'll find a bunch of these seeds inside that then you can cook down into making a type of cacao liquid. So in Mesoamerica, cacao and later on chocolate would be used for cooking. Obviously, people would cook with the cacao pods, although I will say they did not make chocolate in the modern sense, but we'll talk about that in the next slide. But they also used it for offerings for different gods, and they also, interestingly enough, used it as a currency. So, like I said, they did not use cacao to make like the modern chocolate bar. Instead, they used the cacao beans to make chocolate, which is basically this warm drink made of cacao beans, water, chili peppers, and then usually some type of spice, could be vanilla, cinnamon, allspice, etc. So this is what they made with cacao beans. You can still make this today, obviously, it's not super popular, but on the recipes that I looked up to kind of learn about this, people compared it to kind of like a spicy, kind of sweet coffee. So I thought that sounded pretty good, actually. So now to go to the history of making what we think of as like a modern chocolate bar. So the first people to do it was this British company named J.S. Fry and Sons in 1847. They combined kind of this liquid cacao with cocoa butter to make what would be the first modern chocolate bar. I will say that obviously the chocolate we're eating in 2026 is not exactly the same as what they first made in 1847. You know, modern day chocolate has a lot more sweeteners, sugar, different flavors, powdered milk, all sorts of stuff has been added over the last 200 years. But that is kind of where the first like modern chocolate bar came from. So the last thing I want to talk about with the history of how chocolate is made is that chocolate has actually a pretty bad history associated with how it was kind of created. So if you look at this map here on the left, this is where chocolate is produced today. So as you can see, it kind of follows a specific latitude. Obviously, it cannot grow everywhere. It does not grow in the U.S. Oh, whoops. Does not grow in the U.S., for example. But so back in the day, Spanish colonizers came to Mesoamerica. They really liked this cacao beans, and unfortunately, that led to them enslaving a lot of the native people into making it for them, and then they would ship it back to Spain and also Greater Europe. So that's kind of a historical negative, but I will also say that in the modern day, both slavery and child labor are still a huge issue in the creation of chocolate, especially in Africa. You can see like this huge strip of land in all these African countries that, are used to make modern day chocolate. I mean, still, slavery is unfortunately still very prevalent in the chocolate industry. So this is not so much for the history, but if you see here, I added this picture of Tony's Choco Lonely. It's a bit of a mouthful. So this is actually a modern chocolate brand that tries to make chocolate ethically and does not use slave labor. So that's just if anyone's interested. Their chocolate's really good, so I thought I would add it. So thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you guys have a great weekend.